Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
All right. It's basically check-in time here. Friends always check in with friends. So I consider us all friends. And here we are just past 2 weeks into a start of a brand new year. Lots of us have resolutions going on. How you doing with that? Let's talk about that. Have you derailed on some of those resolutions already? Or are you thinking that, I don't know if I could keep going with this, if it's going to work? Or are you feeling good about it? Let's look at all of those options. And with somebody that can help you master your life, and he is an amazing life coach, Andrew Dale is back with us on the program. Andrew, welcome. How you doing?
I'm good, doing great. Thank you, Steve, and hi to all the listeners.
Yeah, so here we are with these New Year's resolutions. Typically, what is the basically their habits? Basically, their habits. What is a reasonable expectation to have for a habit change in terms of time, where it sinks in and now it becomes your everyday life?
If you do something consistently for 90 days, that'll be a new habit. You'll ingrain that in your life. So 90 days can change your life, or can be exactly the same as today.
Yeah. And it's funny when we look at 90 days, it's like, 90 days. How can I really? But 3 months goes by just like that. When I look back to the last 3 months, it's like a whirlwind. It's like two snaps of your finger, and that was 90 days. I guess when we say 90, it sounds bigger than three. So it seems like a long time.
Yeah, and it comes down to one day at a time as well. You know, if you get up each day and if your New Year's resolution or whatever resolution you have is ingrained in a great why, you've got you're drawn towards the outcome. So you haven't if you've set your goals around an outcome. So if your outcome, you know you're a bit overweight, and you know you're not very good at choosing foods, and all these things are going on. If you say, all right, look, in 3 months' time, for my physical and mental health, I just need to be fitter and better proportioned, and my weight in a better place, right? And so your goal is, for every once a day, you're going to do 30 minutes exercise, right? You don't have to worry, your food, you become more aware of your food, but you're drawn towards your goal. You're not trying to do things that aren't comfortable. If you're drawn towards your goal, it's much easier to stay on track, and especially if you've simplified it. So if you're going, all right, 30 minutes a day, I just need to go for a walk for 30 minutes a day. As you're doing your walk for 30 minutes a day, it's easier to change your food habits, because your body's going to start to crave different things. And you've got an awareness around, well, to achieve my goal, I've got to have better food habits. But you're being drawn to something which is, and it might be in 90 days, I'm going to go on a walk up a mountain. I'm going to go and do, if you're really fit, run a marathon, or just be able to go and spend an hour with the kids at full pace, my grandkids at full pace. Whatever it is, if that why is real, then you're being drawn to your outcome. If your why is, okay, I want to lose 10 kilos or 10 pounds, but I don't know why, I just want to do it, it's sort of like you're pushing yourself the whole time. You're trying to find, but I don't want to do it today, because if I don't do it, it's not going to affect anyone else. It's not going to affect any other area of my life. It's just my health, and I'm halfway through the month. I'd rather have a drink.
Well, you're very insightful, Andrew, because what you just brought up is so interesting, in that you go for that walk. You set that goal. I'm going to go for a walk every day, 30 minutes. Why am I doing it? Well, I'd like to lose weight, get in better shape. That's all great. But when you think of all the other benefits that you're starting to talk about, it's so worth it to keep you motivated. For example, that your body chemistry is going to change. You'll have different cravings. You're out in nature, which psychologically is so beneficial for grounding and make you feel better. You release certain chemicals because you're getting some exercise, very positive. Let's say you do that walk with somebody else, it's socialization. So when you add all those things together, very powerful. It's not just taking a walk for 30 minutes, you're basically changing a lot of things in your life.
And if you've got those other outcomes as well. You want to be able to do things more with the grandkids, or you want to go sailing in summer, or you want to go skiing in winter, or whatever. Those other outcomes, and we need to really pile them on and sit down and write out, why all those other reasons, because life throws things at us, and it might be every 5 years you'll have a major event, or it might be, every couple of months something can go right or wrong for you. If you're already on this path and you say, all right, when one of those major events happens, like you might have a family member that needs help that you weren't otherwise prepared for. If you're already on that self-improvement, you're a little bit fitter, someone needs to move house, well, you can go and help them out. Or your parents need a bit more help than usual and it's physical, you can go and do that. Whereas if you're not physical, and someone's a bit sick and they need physical help to get up and down, you're going to really struggle with that. Whereas if you say to yourself, well, I want to be there for my family, I want to be able to be there for myself too. If you fall over and hurt yourself, you're much more likely to fall over and hurt yourself if you're not exercising. But also the recovery process is a lot longer. All of those things are things that actually happen in life, and we need to pile on these things a little bit so our why becomes very strong, and allow ourselves to be there for these events. If you match that up, because we all travel in a circle of life, right? If your energy around your health is better, you'll probably find your finances will pick up as well. You'll find your romantic and your physical relationships will be better as well, because you're clearing your mind, you're making space for better energy in your life, right? And by being fitter, as you said, you're out in nature. When you're out in nature, you're not looking at your phone for one thing, but also if you look at a horizon, it allows your mind to open up, and by opening up your mind, you're allowing space in to resolve those issues that are building up behind you, those little ones. If you don't allow yourself to clear your mind, you're not moving forward. So all of these things travel in a circle. If you're physically better, if you're physically healthier, your body will be on a better trajectory. Your mind, it literally helps your mind as well. And by helping your mind, everything else comes into play. Lifting your energy, constantly raising your standards towards what's good for you. So, we're in a position where the why should be across your relationships. Add things into your why. I want more money. Well, how is being fit going to help you have more money? Well, it allows you to do more things. It will allow you to open up your mind, which allow opportunities to come in. They are all connected, and we forget that very quickly. So it's really about keeping great energy in your life. If you're, and just down a side route, but in the same vein, if you're saying, all right, well, in 3 months' time, I want to be improving my relationships around me as well. What's the easiest way to improve your relationships? It's to raise your standards, right? And that doesn't mean, I'm going to, everyone around me, like if one of my things, I want someone who has got money, doesn't mean, oh, well, instead of having $1 million, they've got to have $2 million. No, it means that I've got to make sure the people around me have a good relationship with money if that's important to me. Or I've got to, but when I say raise my standards, raising your standards also means if you want great relationships around you, don't go and get advice on your current relationship from someone who's going through a nasty divorce. You're not going to get great, you're going to have someone who it's time for you to support them, but it's not time for them to support you because they're not in the right place. Right?
It's, that's like the best advice ever. And sometimes we like to, let's say you're going through a divorce, somebody else is going through a divorce. We like to hang with the same people are going through the same thing. So you feel that they can relate to it, which is true. But at the same time, they're not going to support you in the way that you really should be supported. And it's also when you look at somebody who has a mentor or somebody you look up to them for a reason because they've attained something and you feel good about that for them. And you'd love to kind of feel what they feel or you think that they feel. So it's almost like setting your goals higher in terms of who you hang out with, really your habits and everything else like that. But it's the mindset as well. How do we change our mindset, Andrew, when we're stuck in that, kind of that mode of maybe the victim and all of that? Is there a couple of thoughts you might have on that?
Look, as I said, if you're constantly raising your standards and being aware of what's going on, if you're we spoke about divorces. If you're trying to resolve it, if you're going down a rabbit hole that is toxic, all you want to do is hurt the other person, you've got to stop, take a deep breath and go, what is my outcome in 3 to 5 years? If I keep going down this road where all I'm doing is putting up roadblocks around me and being a toxic person, is that going to help me in 3 to 5 years? Is that going to get me through this in a better way? And if we ask that question, if it was up to me, how can I change? Because the first person we need to change is ourselves, and then we can help a lot of other people, right? And a lot of people think that's selfish, but it's actually the least selfish thing you can do is help yourself first. Because if you're in a toxic place, you're not much good to other people. Or if you've helped out 5 people and you've taken on their energy, you haven't supported yourself. And so now you'll run out of energy. So the first person you need to help is yourself, and then you can help many others. So by taking that half hour a day or whatever the case may be, to look after yourself, you allow yourself to clear your mind and move forward. Find a mentor. That's an excellent idea, but make sure that you are constantly improving your authentic self, right? Getting closer to your heart, getting closer to peace within yourself. And there's various ways you can do it. We talked about the trouble tree last week, where you can leave your troubles outside and not take them in. When you go for a walk, make sure that you sit there and look at the horizon. Take advantage of that. Have a destination where you can look out and see the horizon. Allow your mind to empty and open to opportunities. But ask yourself, am I really on track? It's like if we're constantly looking at other generations and saying, oh, the other generation is lost, in that particular case, go and have a look at the generation and find some people in there who people in that generation admire, and listen to what they've got to say. They might not say exactly what's aligned with you, but you might find there's people of integrity that you didn't think there were, right? Because they're not going to be the same. They're a different generation. They've got totally different issues. And when you were 21, you don't think the same way as you do now. But yeah, just be open to be real about yourself and judge yourself before you judge others. And that doesn't mean beat yourself up. Never beat yourself up. Just be honest with yourself. You can be honest with yourself without beating yourself up, because you've got to be kind to yourself. If you really want to change, you don't go and beat up your kids to try. Well, some people do. if you want them to change in a positive way over the long term, you do it through support and being inspired. It doesn't hurt you to say, well, that was a stupid thing to do. If you've taken a stupid action and you've ended up dinging your car, well, it was a stupid thing to do, wasn't it? But that's okay. That's happened. Now support yourself. What can we do? How can I not do that again? How can I behave better? How can I, why was I in that state where I'm doing something stupid that's not supporting myself? How can I, what else can I do? Can I take some massive action? People try and look into the future, try and look in 3-5 years without getting, by settling back into your heart and allowing yourself to be true to yourself, and have expectations around yourself, your higher self. So what that means is, if for the next 5 years, if every day you sat down for 5 minutes, maybe at the end of your walk or whatever, and just settled into yourself and said to yourself, am I on track? What am I grateful for? And find 3 things you're grateful for about yourself or people around you. Gratitude is an amazing thing. It makes sure that you're looking for the best in what's around you, right? And if you're looking for the best outcome, you're going to find it. The simplest one is, if you drive into a car park and you expect to find a car park, even in a crowded place, generally you'll find it quite easily. If you expect not to find it, you can bet your bottom dollar that you won't find it.
I want to jump in there because I do it all the time. And it even happened last night. I was with my son. We went to dinner and it was cold out. And I pull into he just got his learner's permit. So I let him drive. We pull into the lot and I said, yep, we are going to find a space that's going to be close by and it's going to happen real soon. And I look up and there's the space and it was crowded. However, that space was a 15-minute spot. Obviously, we're going to take longer than that. I'm like, how well? I look 4 spaces away, and there's our space. And I honestly manifest that, whatever you want to call it, every time I go somewhere where I need a space. But I also, in my mind, say, if somebody needs it more than I do, let's say that they have an injury, they're handicapped, whatever it might be, I don't park in handicapped spaces, but if they need it, give it to them. But I would have to say that works for me about 90% of the time, Andrew. I find that space.
And there's two sections to that as well. The mechanical section is 90% of people who saw the 15-minute sign wouldn't look for the parking space 4 spaces away.
Yeah.
Because they've already decided it's not going to work for them.
I almost did. I almost did. But I was like, wait a minute, universe. This usually works. Something's up with this. And I look at, and my son's like, oh, wait, that's another 15 minutes. I'm like, there's no sign there. I literally got out of my car because it was dark. I'm like, oh, it says we can park there. No problem. And yeah, you're right. You have to see it. We have instant feedback. This one coming from Christine in Providence, Rhode Island. Instant feedback, steve@gmail.com. She says, I find myself being the one that helps everyone, but very few share the care with me. I don't know why I'm the one that takes care of everyone else, but I feel I need to make a change in my life, but I'm not sure how to do that. Can you offer any advice?
The first thing is to to raise your standards and to expect more out of people around you. You've got to look after yourself first, so you can't take on someone else's pain. Like they're always happy to dump their worries on you and wander away, but that's a recipe for disaster.
Mm.
But expect that expect there'll be some reciprocity there, but you don't need it from everybody. Be very, the people that really matter to you, the people that are, as I said, they're aligned with you. There'll be one or two people in amongst that will add tremendous value. So don't go looking for quantity. Look for quality in amongst that, and just expect people will be there for you. And really, if they're not, you need to open up your mind to see who else is around, because quite often it's a family member or someone else, but you've got to ask. You got to go out and ask for it sometimes. You've got to be prepared to say, I need a bit of I'd really like someone to help talk to, or even, think about your grandparents or your parents or other people around that you may not have thought of, and open conversations with them. You'll be amazed at who turns up for you. But you've got to expect it. You've got to be prepared to ask the question. And obviously there's professionals that do it as well. But definitely you've got to raise your expectations.
Do you think, Andrew, it's reasonable enough to, in somebody like Christine's situation, to make a list and write down all the people in your life? And I'm just this popped in my head. Write down all the people in your life and what they bring to your life, and maybe what they take away from your life, and kind of do almost like I'm horrible at numbers, but a balance sheet, where you kind of like looking at everybody and just kind of reevaluating who's doing what. And maybe it will come clear that, that person, I'm always there for them. I share things with them. They share things with me. I'm giving double what they're giving back, and maybe they don't serve me, or maybe I should just pull back from them a little bit, and I'm not going to kick them out of my life, but maybe not give them as much attention, because maybe you need the attention more.
Yeah. The first thing you do is to write a list what you will and won't expect in relationships, whether it's a person loving relationship or friendship or work relationship. Write down what you will and won't expect out of these relationships. And once you've done that, energetically, you'll be aware of what's going on. You can make a list of people, but you'll figure it out very quickly. And within that list, what you won't accept, once you activate that list within your mind, energetically, people will figure it out. And they'll actually, you'll very quickly be surprised that some people will spend less time with you, because you're on your list. You might have put down, I expect people to respect me and my time, and if I'm supporting them, they must support me. Now, if energetically you cut their time short and say, well, that's great, but it's my turn to talk, and they don't like that, they don't want to be there to support you, they will go and find someone else. If they're just there to dump their information on you and move on, and then you start expecting a better response, if that's the only reason they're there, they'll go and find someone else. And that doesn't mean that you're kicking them out of your life or anything else. It just means you're raising your standards to standards that support you.
I want to
And,
ask you,
amazing.
we have just a moment left, but what you just said really clicked in my head. I totally believe in energy, the exchange of energy for anybody that's listening, watching, and you're not getting the energy thing, Google it and research it as I did. And it was an eye opener how we're all energy. And even if you're not with that person, they can feel that energy. That being said, Andrew, when you just said making that list up, and maybe you put that person to the side on the list. Do you think if you're thinking it, you're vibing it about them, that they might even pick up on your energy, even though you didn't say anything to them?
You don't have to have the conversation. It's amazing. As long as you energetically no longer accept toxicity coming in, you'll just say, no, I'm not doing this. And you'll just say, no, you'll cut this conversation short. You'll move away from it. Energetically, they'll very quickly figure out that you're no longer accepting it. And they'll either be comfortable with that or they won't. But it doesn't matter. You've got to support yourself first.
And I feel if you're going to do that, you really have to, best description, really let it marinate deeply in your mind energetically so they receive that. They receive those vibes. It's almost the same thing when somebody, let's say, is going in for surgery and you say, hey, positive vibes, I'm sending to you, prayers for you. You're kind of doing the reverse. Not like you're putting a spell on them or a whammy. You're just kind of taking back your energy and saying in your mind, within your energy, yeah, I'm not throwing it to you that much anymore because it doesn't really serve me. I never thought of it that way. And I firmly believe that things can be done virtually. You don't even have to say that to the person, but I never thought of it in terms of taking your energy back from someone that you've given a lot to and doesn't serve you anymore. Wow.
Yeah. It's by changing the energy within you, by raising your standards and expecting people to behave in a way that's supportive of your outcomes. It's amazing the different people that your relationships will change, which is great.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, that's the goal. But I never thought of it in that way. So thank you for sharing that. And I'm a total believer in energy and how it works. But wow, we're out of time, and I'm glad we ended on that note because that was a good one. Somebody wants to reach you, maybe even learn about energy in terms of how they can use it and everything that you offer in terms of life coaching. Best way is to go to your website, right?
Yep, andrewjdale.com. Or you can give me a call on the phone, 410-991-8119. Yeah, that'd be good. Look forward to hearing from people.
Yeah, and I know that you offer a discovery call, a consult without charge, just to see if it's a good fit for everybody. But yeah, good stuff today. Appreciate it. And keep the positive energy going there. And if your energy is not going in a positive place, take it back. It's yours, right?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. You'll
All right,
put
Andrew.
out. All right.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And we'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, I mean, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.